I thought long and hard about what to say for this intro. I'm going to keep it simple. Ipswich Town 3, Norwich City 1. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. David Diamond, by God, for the first time in Blue Monday history, would you like to tell me how you're feeling about a win in the East Anglian derby?
I tell you
Go.
what, I was thinking long and hard about this. There's a scene right at the end. Have you seen the film The Sting? Have you seen the film The Sting? Quite a famous film. It's a scene right at the end. And Robert Redford says to Paul Newman, Paul Newman says to Robert Redford, well, was that enough? And he says, nah, not really, but it was pretty close. So, yeah, it was just great. It was just great to get it done, get that. Mick Mills describe it, get that monkey off the back, 16 years, 7 seasons, 14 games. Christ knows how many days that adds up to. So it's just fantastic afternoon. And yeah, did a job in the end. Really sound.
Joseph Fairs, have you passed your fitness test? I.e., would you pass a breathalyzer right now?
I wouldn't pass a breathalyzer right now, but I am very fit to talk about us beating them for the first time in a long time. And it was just, I was quite chilled this morning actually thinking about the game, as in, it got to a stage, it was like, I know we're better than they are now. Like the worm has turned. We are now probably for the first time in 15 years better than them. Even back to the point where when we got promoted in 23, 24, they were probably, had we not got promoted that season, the next year, they'd have probably still been better than us. And now it is, I was chilled. But then when it actually got to the full time, it's like, yeah, I needed that. I really needed that.
Richard, welcome. We're going to do a four-hander here. Are you here just in case Joe falls asleep or something? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm emergency backup. I'm Joe's wingman or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you are the Jack Clark to Joe's Jaden Philogene, right?
I'll take it. I'm happy to appear at 40 minutes and tap in the final 20 minutes of the podcast. Yeah, that'll do me fine.
Oh, happy days. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. We've had some great shows. We've had a double promotion. We've had a takeover. We've had some not so great shows, but this is going to be, Dave, maybe the most special one in terms of what it means to, it's purely, forget football.
It's pure joy,
it's purely for the fans, isn't it?
It is.
This?
Yeah,
and all the hell and the stick and the ridicule. And Dave, it had become a thing. Everybody knew. Ipswich fans, Norwich fans, everybody knew about this hoodoo, didn't they?
It was just getting ridiculous. And, you thought 2 years ago when we were, riding high and they weren't at the time, the game just before Christmas, and that ended up 2-2. And you think, well, it's never going. And obviously we lose. Nunes scored. We lose the away game. You do begin to think, is it ever going to happen? But yeah, it was, as I said, just great to get it finally put that to rest.
How were the scenes in the build-up, Joe?
Well, I was sort of looking out the window to see the bus scenes, but I turned up. I was down at the ground about 9 a.m. and it was full. It was full already around there, and it was just. And I listened to the Kings of Anglia podcast on Friday, and Stuart Watson said, like, Kieran McKenna specifically wanted someone to ask him about the bus turn up because people had said there's a lot of talk even in our Telegram. This like, oh, I don't know if I like it. It's a little bit, can we show a bit more hubris? Can we be more humble? If we do that and then we lose, what happens? But Kieran McKenna sort of said, no, this is what we want. We want the players to know this is how much it means to everyone. And it's only happened 3 times before: the Exeter game, which we won, the Huddersfield game, and the Norwich game. And I know we only drew 2-2 in the Norwich game, but we really blew them away in the first half of that game and just couldn't take our chances. So it's not like the players are frozen when we've done that. So, yeah, no, it's just great to see, and the town was lively, buzzing, and like I say, a lot of these new players, it's their first East Anglian derby for many of the players on that team.
Was there still that kind of sense of gloom and angst, Rich? The vast East Anglian derby that's been, I don't know whether it's just over the stadium on the mornings or whether it's just me that's the biggest coward that feels this out of anybody. But how are you feeling pre-game?
Yeah, so I was at the Greyhound shortly after 9 too. I think that was an essential. We need to shout out, Dave and I saw our mate Sully over from New York, his first ever derby, and he was really excited for it. And we were kind of talking him through the kind of permutations, because frankly, any result was possible today, really. But it did feel, kind of to Joe's point, that it's kind of like one of these statistical anomalies, these kind of results over the last 16 years. There's a point where the roulette wheel's got yellow and blue on it, and yellow has come up 16 times. There's a point where it's got to surely be blue. And so I think that was certainly in my thinking, Ben. I bumped into a few people who kind of felt similar. And I think probably the good thing for Ipswich fans is there's always that sense of trepidation that something stupid could happen. We've got the better squad on paper. We've got the home advantage, but we'll find a way to stuff it up. And you kind of are prepared for that. So anything else is a bonus, which is why the post-match scenes were very jubilant, let's put it that way, and town was buzzing afterwards. So I think everyone was mentally well prepared for it, and unfortunately the game panned out like we hoped it would.
Well, we'll get into the kind of state of the rivalry and the direction of travel, the trend for both clubs after we have talked about Ipswich 3, Norwich City 1. Dave, this is what Kieran McKenna went with. Alex Palmer in goal, Davis and Furlong. There'd been a few shouts. Do you want Ashley Young in such a cauldron? O'Shea and Kipray was an interesting one. More from him. Well, throughout actually. Matasiva and Kayuste, Philogene, Smodix, Ageli starts as well. With Hurst in the 9, felt reasonably bold. He could have played that safer, couldn't he, Dave?
We could. I mean, it was. I think it was the lineup that started against Portsmouth. Yeah, guys, I think so, wasn't it? Just about. Yeah. I think I was a bit personally. I was a bit surprised. I mean, there was a lot of talk about perhaps Kipray coming in for Greaves. I was a bit surprised because I know obviously the manager likes that right foot, left foot combination. And also slightly surprised in such a big game that Egley started. Look, McAteer hasn't been, in coin the phrase, exactly pulling up any trees, but I thought he might have started just purely down to experience, But blimey, as it turns out, those two were probably two of our, up there with top 3 or 4 of our players today, I thought.
Joe, McKenna's come out of this looking quite smart, hasn't he?
Yeah, like for me, it only felt there's one decision to make, which was Egley or McAteer on the right, and it's sort of I'd have expected him going McAteer, but he went for the braver choice there, and then Kipray in for Greaves, which was not what I was expecting. I thought Kipray did well against Portsmouth last week, and Greaves was fine against Bristol City, but Greaves seems to be the one that you're going to push through with for the rest of the season, but maybe not.
Anything to add, Rich, on the 11?
Just a couple of thoughts on the Kipray situation. I wonder whether in part it was due to a very clear and obvious threat in the Norwich front line. And obviously we'll talk about how minimal his impact was on the game, Sergeant, throughout. And, you can't put that down solely to Kipray. And certainly Norwich's creative players didn't really give Sergeant a huge amount of help. But I wondered whether that might have been part of the thinking. The other talking point, and this will not be the last time we talk about him tonight, there was a bit of a debate about whether Marcelino Nunes would start. And I think McKenna made the right call in terms of sticking with that central midfield pairing that has done so well for us. But he was obviously everywhere pre-match and everywhere from pretty much minute 75 onwards. And we'll talk about
He was certainly everywhere post-match, wasn't he?
He certainly was.
We could do an entire segment just on the post-match movements of... we're going to
see the heat map of that.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to do a Souness and
I thought he was going to do a Souness, Dave. Just plot it right in front of the away end, but he didn't quite get there, did he?
No.
Let's win the game first before we get to that, gentlemen. Here is your Norwich City 11. Kovacevic in goal, Stacey and Fisher, the fullbacks, Darling and Cordoba, the centre backs, McLean and Martson are the central midfielders, Cernak, Spartau, Topic, and Sargent. And to Joe's point, Dave, I don't see a Buendia, a Madison, a Rowe, a Sainz, a Nunes, a match winner other than Sargent in there now.
They're very short.
The worm has turned, in Joe's words.
No, it absolutely has. You know, you looked at that and there was just, look, Sargent we know is a class, given the service, is a class player, but up there with the best strikers in the division. We know that. On a bit of a lean run, which again was a slight concern. I don't think he'd scored for the last, 4 or 5. He started the season on fire, didn't he? But I don't think he'd scored for their last 4 or 5 games. Yeah, they're very, very ordinary. Tell you who I thought had a good game for them. I like the fullback. I like Stacey.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Stacey. Yeah. He was by far.
I think you're in nicest guy in jail there territory, trying to find a good performance.
Well, yeah,
he's been one of their better players all season as well.
Yeah, no, he's quality player. But they look very, very ordinary. My goodness me, they're in some bother. If they, we'll get onto them after. Go on, okay, yeah.
Well, I think it was I don't know who it was talking on the aftermatch show saying that they're a Josh Sargent injury away from a relegation battle.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask you that, Joe. I thought it had been an interesting transfer window for them. I thought, you got all this potential, and there is the chance when you sign a load of young players from Europe that they don't all hit the ground running. But Norwich normally get it right. And then I thought, well, if you have to sell one of, with say Sainz had already gone, and you have to sell one of Sargent and Nunes, you always want the striker, but they maybe sold the wrong one.
Well, they've spent a lot of money as well, haven't they?
Well, that's true.
You think, we got a great deal for Nunes, selling him. You spent more than that on Cernak, who is, well, he looked awful today, and I know he had a poor year last year, but they spent nearly 50 million across the last 2 seasons. They're not Bristol City, they're not Portsmouth, they're not a team that's just sneaking up there trying to do what they can. That tail of their parachute payments is running through this team, and it looks like they've wasted it.
Rich?
Yeah, not too much to add on that one. I mean, I thought, I think Stacey was the player that stood out for me. I watched the West Brom game to get a bit of a sense on them. Cordoba was good, I guess, at centre back.
He's got good physicality, hasn't he?
Until the third goal, where he just
yeah. But I think he did well at holding us at bay. Darling's obviously got the long throw threat, but we barely saw that. And I mean, we'll talk about Schwartau. I thought he was okay. It's a good strike. He probably had their best chances in the first half, didn't he? So, but it's just interesting to see where they are, and it's we'll talk about the kind of opening passages of the game, because it was quite marginal. Let's be honest about it, and it was very no team wanted to kind of make a gamble and to make too many risks early on, so it was quite attritional in that sense. But it looked like 2 teams trying to contain each other, and then suddenly I think we started to get a little bit of iffiness out of the back, and they pressed really well, to be fair to Norwich. And I assume that was the plan that Manning had. But apart from that, Ben, I'm not sure what their strategy was today, apart from to just get shots away from the edge of the box. There wasn't a huge amount of pattern. And you kind of talked about liking Stacey, Dave. I didn't think he did nearly as much as he did on Wednesday night against West Brom. So there was really a huge amount of coherence about them either, Ben. And also, I'm going to chuck this out there early doors. We've really lent into this derby, and clear how much it meant to everyone. McKenna was big on it. I'm just not sure they were massively up for it today. I'm pretty certain the atmosphere was not for their liking. Rod Stewart. Oh, sorry, I'm catching up.
I hope Ben's warmed up his vocal cords for an "Oh Darling" later. But...
Oh yes, please. Where's the Tom? I've only been singing Cranberries today, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Dave, Richard is right. I almost thought for the first 15, 20 minutes, and if you accept the premise that the lads have laid out, that the players aren't that great, that Manning pretty much did all he could. He pressed really high, left the space in the channel. They deliberately left Sargent kind of to block the pass across the penalty box, and said, "Okay, we know the crowd's going to get anxious while you try and play out from the back. We'll risk the ball into the channel or straight into one of the wingers." And it seemed to be working well enough. Dave, was that your take?
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, typical derby. We all guys around me said, it's just typical derby game. It is awful. No one can really get a foot on the ball. They were pressing really high, and to be fair, pressing well. I think poor O'Shea, sort of 4 out of his 5 passes either went in touch or went to one of theirs. God dear. And you think, it's just going to be another one of those, isn't it? You know, you could just see it was just horrible. It was gritty and horrible, and just as Manning would have wanted it, just as perfect for them, just exactly what they wanted. Yeah, spoiler alert, I guess the goal came. We started to get a little bit more control, I guess.
Well, Dave, they realised that the ball on was Hurst running off the
it was
the back
and
of whoever,
wasn't it? I think Sean said in our chat earlier on, in our Telegram chat earlier on, that there was a noticeable tactical switch, and that ball into Hurst down the channel, who again I thought worked hard again today, because as you said, Calder as a physical specimen, I thought he worked hard. So for the first 20 minutes, it was just a horrible, scrappy, typical Derby game.
Well, and Joe, let's go to the first goal. And would you subscribe to the opinion that the most composed player on the ball in the first half was Cedric Kipre?
Yeah, but where the corner comes from is from lack of composure from their goalkeeper, because it's
what's he doing? It's a
one-handed Egle comes over and just sort of a loopy cross to the back post, and
I like that.
Philogene ducks under. Yeah, it's a lovely ball, but it was overhit, that one, and then
it was.
Philogene ducks underneath it, and he comes diving across and just gets a fingertip to it. Really, nothing of any substance, and comes to the corner, and it's Jaden Philogene on the right, on the sort of left-hand side, the in-swinger onto the right, and it's quite deep. Darren O'Shea does really, really well to sort of get over at the back post and knock it back in there, and then Kipre just chests it down and then nearly takes the roof off the net the way he hits that. It is a absolute, similar to Broadhead's goal the last time we played them, in that sort of same goal, same position, same part of the goal. But just, I think Kipre, he's probably the most sort of the toughest selection, the most contentious selection in the squad. And I know he's not in there to score goals, but when you centre-back comes into the team and decides to rifle one in the roof of the net, it's like, well, that is, I'm sure Kieran McKenna just turned around and thinks, back in the day, I remember we used to sit here in these championship pods. So last time we went up just thinking, Kieran McKenna says, we're going to do this. So he comes in as a team and he does that.
There you go.
This was another one of those where Cedric Kipre, I put him on and he's just going to rifle the ball in the top corner. I
think, Rich, even before the goal, I thought the first couple of corners had looked dangerous, hadn't they? And they tried to get, I don't know if they'd factored the wind into the takers, but they tried to get O'Shea on the back post. And I've been positing theories all week. Let me just say, just pure, I can say it now, just pure coping mechanism on my part about us needing to score first, get a clean sheet, and get 2 goals up. So I covered all of my bases there. But great to take the lead, given anxious circumstances and a 16-year wait.
Yeah, especially as we bemoaned our inability to score from set pieces for certainly last season, and they're practicing them in the warm-ups now, and so even the defensive phase. Well, we'll get onto that in a second, because hold that thought. But yeah, what I love about the fact the kind of knockdown from O'Shea, Joe's right. It's a really great, brave kind of header back across goal. But there's 3 people on the spot who could have scored that goal. Kipre gets there, and I'm not going to argue with him if the ball's dropping, and he's the nearest to me. And I'm Sam Smodic, who was on the Johnny on the spot as well.
Championship golden boot winner, Sam Smodic. I know I want shooting that ball, Rich.
He's not getting that one. But also shout out for Jens Kajusta, who went for the overhead kick. And I don't know whether that did a little bit of distraction tactics for the Norwich back line, but yeah, it was good, Ben. And we could have skipped over the fact that there's a really marginal decision to disallow Philogene's goal when Hurst goes through with Darling, which I actually thought was a 50-50, and we could have got the lead a little bit earlier. But, there's plenty of praise for the referee. I thought he was okay. I thought it was fine, but maybe that one. And then 20 minutes.
That one there, I was chatting, I had some Norwich guys sitting in with us today, and I said, it's one of those ones that you might get away with, but you hate to see your centre-back do that. You hate to see centre-back be that weak, trying to win a free kick. And it's something that we've seen with Jacob Greaves do a few times.
Yeah. In the Birmingham game, yeah?
Yeah, where he sort of goes down, holds his head, does this, and it's like, yeah, you are probably going to get that decision 8 times out of 10, but the 2 times out of 10 when you don't get it, it is disastrous.
Well, Dave, no, let's not do this to poor David Diamond. Let's do it to Joe first. Joe, would you like to describe the textbook Norwich City goal at Portman Road in an East Anglian? If you'd seen it before the game, this is the goal you're going to see. To be fair, they respond quite well and do quite well to win the corner, but this is pure peak Norwich at Portman Road in the last 15 years, this goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just they sort of get a corner down that side and it sort of loops over. And O'Shea probably could do a little bit more, getting it further away from the goal where he doesn't. And then it's a number 29, Schwarzkopf, is it? I don't know. And he just takes a sort of volley from outside the box. And from where I was sitting, you sort of see Palmer just like, why has he not saved it? But then when you see it back at half time, Matasiwa, who's sort of gone out there, sort of gets himself back on his knees and sort of throws his head at the ball. And it just, that little deflection off his head just takes the ball away from Palmer, just puts it into the back of the net. And it's just like, God, we've sort of got them where we want them. And I think it's like literally like 175 seconds after we've scored, they score. And it's just, like,
the worst is you can see it coming, can't you?
And the way we played, it was like we were sort of having to deal with their high press, and it's sort of 0-0, and then you get in front. It's like they're going to have to do a little bit more than what we've asked them to do so far, and then within 175 seconds, what it is they've just come straight back into the game, and we've gone straight back for that advantage we've given, and we've sort of knocked them off their spot, asking them to do something different. It's just straight back, and their game plan just resets themselves back to it.
It's a classic.
Sorry, Dave. It was exactly what happened last time when Johnny Rowe scored. They barely had a kick, and another one of my coping mechanisms was suggesting that the first shot on target for Norwich, like the Ipswich keeper for that shot, their hands just stop working. They're not allowed to save it or whatever. They always seem to score that type of goal. But sorry, make your point anyway. It's probably far more sensible.
Well, two things there. I thought at first, from my vantage point, it was a carbon copy of Johnny Rowe's second goal against us.
Right.
It's a throw. I think Nunes actually throws it. I think Nunes takes the throw. Remember, it's someone has a shot and Rowe just hits it, and it kind of.
Do you know what, Dave? I'm going to forgive him that one.
It goes through. It goes through. It goes through Flagship. But their goal, it's a classic. And when I used to play the carbon, you go 1-0 up in a tight game. First thing you do, next phase of play, win the ball back. Just get the ball back, get control of the ball back, settle down, take the 1-0, and you build. And there was all. Trouble is, after that, it was all helter-skelter. We just never got control. It was all things that we just never got control of the ball. And as Joe said, 175 seconds. It was, fortunate, but 1-1, and they're right back in it with their tails up again.
But Richard, we kind of pick up all right after that, and it's not necessarily as anxious as it could have been. And I mean, look, it's going to take something pretty spectacular, but not the worst response after the goal.
No, there's a few shots for both teams, pretty speculative, long-rangey stuff. I think, as we were saying, you could feel that moment for Norwich, that corner, the thought came in my head, they're going to score from here. And fair play to Schwarzo. He hits it early, doesn't he? Keeps it like it's on target and all that kind of stuff. But apart from that, it felt like maybe both teams were quite happy to get it to half time, perhaps, and reset and regroup, because I don't think either team could really claim that they'd been fully dominant. I think we probably had the better chances, certainly on goal, and I think we'd had a moment, but Norwich, as we said, had that press and had certainly forced us to have to change our strategy of playing out the back. But if you're going to score, Ben, I mean, it's always a good time to score a goal, but just before half time is pretty good, isn't it?
Well, let's go to, am I allowed to call you senior, or should I just call you most knowledgeable, David?
It could be senior. I don't want to. Yeah, just call me senior. Experience. Okay. Experience is better, yeah. Okay,
Martin, the Philogene goal, the best derby goal of all time. Well, why don't you describe the goal? I've got to admit, I did a ridiculous celebration.
Well, it was kind of one of those goals where it happens and you think, did that just happen? What have I just witnessed? It was just so Maatsen, the ball sort of like a bit of head tennis, isn't it? On the halfway line, and the ball sort of breaks to Maatsen, and he just kind of miscontrols it, sort of goes through him. However, Philogene then puts his body behind him and spins away. It's a clever bit of play, which I think second half he got pulled up for, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He got pulled up for exactly the same.
I've seen an England youth team where a guy's been sent off for doing that.
Oh, because they put the foot over the
their foot sort of landed.
They put their foot there. But the rest is just unbelievable. I mean, 2 foot, 2-footed players. Holy moly. He gets it out of his feet, 25 yards, maybe slightly further out, and hits it. And when I first thought that Thunder Bastard. Immediately thought Thunder Bastard. We'll
The
get
chat's
onto that.
going there. The chat's going there, Dave. We need to rein him back, don't we?
Yeah, we need to rein it back a bit because it isn't. Because ultimately, the keeper does get a slight hand to it. Ultimately, the keeper does do better.
I don't see why keeper's hand affects Thunder.
No, it's got to be clean, Joe. It's got to be clean strike. Got to be. But you said, Joe or Rich said that I haven't seen the view from behind the goal, but it swerves and dips. It got a bit of swaz on it.
There's a view from the south end, Dave. Yeah,
and obviously it had everything. If it not for the slight touch from the keeper, I said grade 1 Thunder Bastard, isn't it? Because it's barring in as well, isn't it? Absolutely grade 1. So. As for the best derby goal,
I feel a Dutch player is about to get a mention. Yeah.
No, that's the best.
Well, that wasn't at Portman Road, was it?
No. But I think it's probably the best derby goal. Thinking about it since, what do you think? Matthew's first in the 5-0
and half volley in the
probably
the 5-0.
The best since then for sure.
Well, Dave, these games are crap and never have any good goals in them, do they? Not that we score anyway.
Rubbish, don't they? Absolute rubbish. I remember Haynes scoring some absolute corkers. Was there a Jimmy one? And that was a Carrow Road deflected free kick.
Massive deflected.
Massive free kick. Haynes punching one in with his... That's a Carrow Road as well. Yeah, I mean, Gary Megson own... Oh, there's been all sorts going on.
Bernard scored a good one in the one that we don't talk about when we lost 5.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. But that's actually, I'd say, good point. Yeah. Good point, Rich. The best one since then. Bullards was special, wasn't it? My God, yeah.
Joe, it felt like we needed that. This is another one of my coping mechanisms. A moment of magic. You know, if the pattern of play isn't quite doing it, if they're getting their pressing right, if they've scored 183 seconds or whatever it is after we did, don't half help if you've got a white hot winger who's going to slam one in the top bins just before half time.
Yeah, and I would. I've rode back from the opinion slightly since it happened, but when it actually went in, it almost felt like that's like the best goal I've ever seen live in the stadium, because from where I was, it looked like he just sort of turned around and just...
Joe was on pint 13 at this point. Yeah.
But it looked like he just turned around, took and just rifled it with his left foot. But when you get in and see from my angle, it just looked like it went right in that top corner. When you get in and see it back on the TV, I think the keeper goes to it with two hands and gets a... Sort of both of them turn. You think, well, if you're the keeper, you probably get one hand across it and you might be able to make a save from it. But it looked so good at the time, and rather than like a roar in the crowd, it's almost like a sort of intake of breath from the whole stadium. I've never heard a reaction for a goal like that. Almost like a shock. Sort of like a wow, shock and awe. And then when they put it on they put the replay on the screen sort of afterwards, and it got two more of those wows from it. But like I said, when you look it back, it's probably one that on a good day the keeper might do a little bit better with. He might be able to get a firmer hand to it than that. But it was just, like I say, it was a real wow moment. And like I say, from my angle, it looked like one of the best goals I've ever seen. But I'd say I've rode back from it now. But that instant reaction when you saw it was just unbelievable.
In terms of the narrative, though, Ben, sorry, Dave, very quickly on that one. You know, to your point, you know, and you've been doing some really great stuff across different platforms this week. People
have been getting quite annoyed with me being on so many platforms. But what are you going to do? Hey?
No, but you were talking quite. I think
I'd love to see some. I'd love to see some of those platforms now.
Well, I'd like to see you run a paper merchant as well, Joe.
Have they invited you back on for this week now, Ben, or was it just last week?
Rich, carry on.
Yeah, I'm going to carry on.
I'm not commenting.
I've lost my thought. No, we were kind of saying that the momentum has shifted, and we now have the star power in our ranks to try and change the game. And when it is a tough marginal game, which as I said before, it kind of was in the first half. What you want to be able to rely on, like Norwich have, and the players that we named at the start of the show, you want to call on them and let them do something magical to contend the game in your favour.
Well, that one where Madison did, that was a 50-50 game, wasn't it? You know,
exactly. Yeah, and even Johnny Rose, they weren't quality goals, but that was a moment of quality in terms of trying to make them happen. Yeah, and have an influence. And Philogene had some real swagger about him, real confidence today. You know, you'd have to try that kind of effort from there, and he'd obviously put the ball in the net before that. And I think that was quite a good
foot.
With his weak,
right?
Yeah, just kind of a good landmark moment to kind of remind Norwich and the away support that there is quality in this Ipswich squad that, they've looked down on us for 16 years. And actually, I think going in at halftime leading was really good for the narrative. I don't think we started the second half particularly well, but just knowing that you've got Philogene who could unleash one from 30 yards if the game maybe goes back all square was, I think really good confidence booster.
That was another one of my coping mechanisms, Dave. Got to be leading at halftime, right?
Absolutely. But I was going to say, all 5 of his goals at Portman Road this season have been breathtaking moments, and
have they all been from outside the box? Have they?
Absolute ridiculous goals. The left foot one.
That's the best one yet, though, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. But definitely. But I mean, the left foot one against Berries against Sheffield. Christ, the first one last weekend against Portsmouth. Just unbelievable goals collection.
Am I still allowed to be sad that Broadhead's gone, or do I just need to install Philogene as my favourite?
He scored a nice goal against Leicester last midweek, didn't he? To be fair,
he did. Yeah, of course he did. There we go. Right, half time. Ipswich leading 2-1. Really tight first half though. 56-44 on the possession. 0.4 to 0.26 on the XG. So 3 goals out of very, very little. 6 shots apiece. I suppose the big one is 2 big chances to 0 on my foot mob stats here. How do we come out in the second half, Joseph Fairs?
Well, I think it's...
You were late, weren't you? Joe was at the bar until minute 49.
No, I was straight out there waiting for them, as I always do. Just put that out there. But it's one of those ones where I sort of said to my dad next to me, it's like, we've got this first 10, 15 minutes and a half are so important because this is their chance to get back in the game. And if we see that out through, then we'll probably be okay. And they don't offer a huge amount. We have a good chance where I think it's Val Egley plays it sort of down the left and Smolix puts it across and Hurst just
tries to go back across the keeper, doesn't he?
I think rather than sort of sweep it with his right, he sort of tries to let it come across him and does with his left. It's not a great shot. Hurst gets in the muddle, Joe. Hurst gets it again and sort of squares it, but sort of between that then and then there was a sort of 3 corners, and it reminded me of that Brentford game last year, where the sort of ref keeps going over and trying to talk to him.
Oh, that was a bit nerve-wracking, that.
And you could just feel it. Yeah. You just feel that pressure building and building. And when
to be fair, Joe, sorry to interrupt, McLean was doing quite a good job of keeping the tension building up there with his housery, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it was just that, and it's just like we've got to see this out. And I think, like I said, when Alex Palmer caught that, I sort of stood up and clapped. Just like, it really felt like a massive moment in the game when that ended. And I say it just built from there, and then the third goal came a long way later in the half. But I think once we ended that sort of 15-20 minute period at the start of half, the game just became quite bitty and scrappy from there, and became quite end to end. And I think it's sort of one of those end to end games where we were getting the better chances than they were, but it's still at 2-1. It's still open, isn't it?
Dave, to this overarching point about where the two clubs are now, this big turning point with was it a treble or was it a quadruple? It was a treble in the end.
It was going to be a quadruple because McAteer was out there waiting the whole time. Then,
right,
just before they came on, McAteer was sort of told to sit back down, and then Philogene went to the right.
Yeah. So here he comes. Oh my love. I know 3 Cranberry songs. It's changing that one's really lovely. And there's Do You Have to Let It Linger? But it's all about the zombie today. In comes Nunez, Clark, and Azon. And 2 minutes later, Dave, take it away, my friend. Enjoy this one.
It's just the quality.
It's literal first touch, isn't it?
It's the quality of the bench. Can I just say, Joe mentioned the Hurst mischance. That Egley Smolix thing, that was shades of Chaplin Burns, wasn't it? Because it was a no look. It was a no look pass around the corner, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think we should mention that. Yeah, it's Darling, isn't it? Corporal Captain Darling.
No,
just gets caught. Just get.
I can't do it.
Someone said in the chat he was trying to. He looked like prime Maldini until he got dispossessed by.
He looked like Greaves against Southampton. Is what he looked like.
Very good point. Until he gets dispossessed again. Shocked by Matt Usiwa, who again was just magnificent. Jesus, what a player!
That central midfield partnership, just a sort of shout out for them. Matt Seaman could just.
Yeah, I thought could use the start of the game was a bit off, but then he just grew into the game. But and the ball breaks to Nunes. I mean, it's quite a simple ball, really, but he's still got the awareness, and it's just a little dink ball. I think looking along the line, Smodic's probably offside there, but Azon is he doesn't really scuff the shot. He does everything right. We do get a bit of luck there. Shades of Burns against Derby a few seasons ago. Jackson hits a post where Azon probably should score, and it rebounds off the post, and Clark does what Clark's great there. He's just Johnny on the spot again and just pokes it in from 6 yards. And you think, yeah, finally 3-1, 2-goal buffer. They were not showing anything at that stage. And I was pretty confident then we were going to see it out after that. But yeah, great to get that third. And as Joe said, literally, all 3 of the subs are involved in it incredibly.
For the cope, Rich, 77 minutes, 3-1 up. I think I started to cope for the first time in 16 years. Then.
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried that there was a few silly moments in the penalty area, and I'm thinking, oh, please, God, don't have 8 minutes of added time or something stupid like that. But it wasn't really. And to Dave's point, we managed the rest of that second half so well. Yeah. I think Norwich, they had I think Joe mentioned, a couple of shots into the side netting when maybe they should force a save out of Palmer. And you kind of
Topic was
one of them, wasn't it? And you kind of once those efforts didn't go in, and once we made the subs, we really took control of that game. And Palmer did nothing apart from a few long kicks. He went and had a chat with Rennie Gilmartin partway through the second half, when we had a corner. Like, it was proper like cigars for most of our back line in that second half. And it's a shame really that we didn't add. Oh, David, he's popped up with
bless you.
The drinks are on David. Thank you for another super chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll send them straight to Joe Fair's house, David.
Reimbursed ones.
I think it's one of those ones when I was saying at the start of the game how our squad, we are just better than Norwich now. And it's been 15, 16 years since you can say that's the case. And I think even, like I say, in our promotion campaign, you look at the team on paper, they're probably better than we were. But I think in a game like that, when you're better than, when you go 3-1 up, it is just, the game just was like gone, done, see you later. Nothing happened after that. We just saw it out. And I think that's probably the best thing about being an Ipswich fan today is just seeing we are now
so straightforward.
We are now a mile ahead of Norwich, aren't we? And it's been a long, long time since we can say that. And like, we had a sort of run, probably sort of me, you and Ben, when we're sort of like 10 to 25, where that was the case. And Dave, obviously, you had when you were sort of like born to 50 and then sort of went from there. But it's been a long, long time for all of us.
There was a compliment in there, DD.
I think it was.
But it's been a long, long time for all of us since we can say that. But it really, really felt that way today.
I think our longest stretch was 7 seasons or 7 years, maybe not even seasons, but 7 years. I think was our longest stretch.
And like I say, you saw the desperation from their fans when they're singing 16 years, you'll never sing that. And it's like, oh, God.
Who cares?
That's all you've got. Six season out of 16 unbeaten run against us.
Yeah.
That's all you've got when you walk around our stadium, you see statues of Sir Bobby Robson, Sir Ralph Ramsey and Major Honours, and all you've got is a unbeaten run against us.
There we go.
There he is. He found his way through that one, didn't he?
Sorry, Ben. There's a couple of, like, Clark is really clever. Goes on a few mazy runs. It doesn't really lead to much, but it just removes the energy out of the game. Akpom comes on, has a good kind of effort, quite close in, well saved. But I was shocked.
The Nunes free kick as well, Rich.
Nunes free kick.
If that would have gone in.
There was a little pocket of chanting if Nunes scores were on the pitch for that one. Like, everyone's looking at each other going, he's not going to score it, is he? And true to form, he doesn't quite. Hits the wall, doesn't it, I think. But I was shocked that the Olays didn't come out. It was so comfortable. And I guess if I'm a Norwich fan, I'm really glad that I'm not, even though we've had 16 years of pain as Ipswich fans. I don't take a huge amount of heart from that second half. Maybe I take a little bit of comfort from where they were quite organised in the first half and made it a marginal game. But the second half, they were just two completely different teams. And this could be a really major, we talked about the Farker moment, didn't we? When they got that muggy goal to get a point against us when they should have lost to us, and then they went off and got
didn't
promoted.
Lose for 9 months.
Today could be the same, but both teams could kind of, Norwich could be in trouble a little bit.
Since the last international break, we've won 3 and drawn 1, and that's our little international break segment. The September gap is 10 points out of 12.
7-point week, Ben. 7-point week. You like?
I
them,
love
don't
it.
you?
Love a
You like
7-point
those,
week. We might have to
Do you know
talk about
do you know what I
commentary.
prefer though? A 9-point week.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Dave, just quickly to round the game out before we get to some fun and games post-match with Mr. Nunez. A lot of these games over the years have been crap. They've been draws. They've been tight. I think we remember the one at Carrow Road when Norwich were about to win the championship,
and
there was a chasm between the two teams. This last bit at 3-1 was as dominant as I've seen. They absolutely obliterated us that day. But this last 20 minutes and I understand from their players' point of view, it's like, that's that done, and you step off it a little bit. But that was as dominant as I've seen it all these years.
I think it's the subs again, the energy they bring, and it was quite interesting when Azon did come on. That Palmer was going a lot more direct. He's got a great spring on him, Azon, and Palmer was going a lot more direct. Certainly second half, which I don't think a few people around me have not got a problem with. But again, it's the substitutes, isn't it? The control, as you said, Clark was just holding on to the ball and keeping possession. And probably for the last 10 minutes, which even at 3-1, they nick a goal back and it gets very, very edgy. They didn't really lay a glove on us, did they? Not at all. Not really at all. We just had total control of it. And it would have been the icing on the cake. Shame, best chance probably was at Pom. Good save. Keeper gets down well and spreads himself. Shame he didn't put that in, because probably 4-1 probably would have been a proper reflection of the second half. We were certainly the latter half of the second half. We were that dominant, really.
Yep.
Before we go to post-game scenes and rounding up, look, the show's just gone completely crazy. I've done 41 minutes on the first segment. It says on my running order 20 minutes for that. So we'll just run the Atwells promo and say a big thanks to them, and then we're going to talk post-match. And if you're willing to hang around, we might go a little bit longer with tonight's Blue Monday podcast. Here is a word from Atwells.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
I know you don't want to hear our gratuitous pluggery today, but just quickly, Blue Monday Live, we announced the next batch of tickets had gone on sale. Thank you to the club for allowing us another 50 tickets on sale. They are moving very, very nicely as well. This is for Blue Monday Live with James Scowcroft after the West Brom game, October the 25th. Live at Portman Road. Will be starting at 5 o'clock. Obviously, the game is an early one on the telly. Please grab your tickets now. There's a few deals if you get top tier or if you get Telegram and whatnot. But we'll go short on the pluggery today, and we'll talk about some lovely post-match scenes. Rich, just a bit of a outpouring. I think it's just relief more than anything, wasn't it?
And a little bit more than that maybe as well. There was certainly Marcelino Nunez has just absolutely gone for it, like running towards shithousery, I think is like his motto. There's the North Sun expecting a limp fist pump like we got last time, and he goes and does we were describing it before we came on air as a Graham Souness moment without maybe planting the flag right in front of the away end, which probably would have made it even more S-housery. But thank you to David. Top tier memberships. Fill your boots, everyone. But like he lent into it. Harry Clark got involved. Harry Clark did a proper fist bump, which was great to see as well. McKenna kind of nudged him, but it was just so really, like as Joe mentioned, kind of just a pressure, a weight off everyone's shoulders that was gone, and really jubilant scenes. Maybe a little bit too far. Maybe some of the Nunez stuff. There's some stuff about another Norwich podcaster that is being talked about in the chat. But you've got to enjoy days like this, and I'm really glad that McKenna and the kind of backroom team kind of properly went for it, because it's paid off really well today.
Yeah, because the thing is, Nunez they were sort of winding him up for the fist bump. He didn't do it. He then went and got the flag, waved it around, did that, stroked the badge, went back. Then he came over. He was doing it on every stand. And as he sort of left where I was sitting, Darren O'Shea sort of like turned around and gave him sort of like, calm down a little bit. You have gone so large on this one. But sometimes it's got to be done, doesn't it? But Nunez was just absolutely the biggest shithouse you've ever seen on anything. It was
horrible.
It was great.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Dave, he's got
Oh,
he's got a really likable, lovely smile as well, hasn't he? Which allows him to probably get away with anything, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely superb. And you hear him speaking, barely speaking. I don't think he can he? I mean, it's just funny, isn't it? Really funny. But yeah, it's safe to say, I think he embraced it. To be fair. And as Joe said, or someone said, Rich said they gave him a some sort of banner, from a sort of white banner with the other
I don't know what it said on that.
Rivals
you'll have to look at the
podcasting.
TV coverage to see what.
So he was waving that around for a bit, and then I don't know, shirts were Kip Ray was giving his shirt away, and Tuesday, I think, and that was all going on.
One bit of low-key S-housery that I clocked. He obviously came to warm up. He wasn't the first batch of subs that came to warm up. He was in the second and got a good ovation in he's in your head kind of thing. But he went and warmed up right by Norwich won a corner, and he warmed up right by the corner take. He was stretching his calves right in front of his face, like properly provocative. And I'm surprised
that some fine calves as well, aren't they?
You've got a better view than I have, Joe. But yeah, even when he's not on the pitch, he properly bought into it. And
apparently, someone said near me that they noticed. I didn't notice it at the end, that he was going around shaking hands with the Norwich players, and one or two of the Norwich players completely blanked him. Apparently,
yeah, that doesn't surprise me necessarily. But hey, all I asked in all of this was it stayed vaguely fun and banterous and good.
There was no silly slide tackles, Ben. Yeah, maybe that treatment might come his way at Carrow Road if he plays in that one.
There's always a receipt.
He's got to play. Our next home game is against Onel Hernandez, who has promised he will break him.
Oh yes.
HMRC
podcast is waiting for that one, isn't it? Also, just a brief shout out as well. Jim Magilton was there today.
I think Joe saw him, didn't he?
Yeah, and I chatted to him on the way out as well. I chatted to him on the way out, and I said, "Oh, you must be a lucky charm." He said, "I'm always great to be invited back in." It's like, well, no one is more deserving of being invited back here.
He did the halftime interview. I just wanted to remark on that, because obviously there was his departure from the club, the last victory against Norwich, and not in the nicest of scenes if the stories at the time were led to be believed. So it's a nice full circle moment in lots of different ways today, but particularly for him.
And Milts was interviewing him where I was sitting before the game, and he sort of said, Kieran McKenna, he knows a lot about him, great manager, he's got a great future ahead of him, and he's had a little bit of a problem, but he's a young manager and he will go again. Not that I was given the opportunity to do that. And he's like, no, not that I'm still bitter about it now. It's like, understandably brought that up 16 years after you've been sacked, saying, "Oh yeah, I wish I had that chance to go again." But no.
Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of the rivalry, then, Dave, is it? I know it's bigger to us than it is to anybody else in English football, but is that almost a bit of a turning point? I agreed with what Joe was saying, that it's almost like the victories. It's coming all in the wrong order. You'd have thought we'd have got the victory, and then we would have got the promotion, and it's gone takeover, promotion. I know the parachute payments are a big thing in this as well, and Norwich fans seem keen to understand the advantage of having parachute payments after not being very keen to admit that a few years ago. But hopefully, we're all a bit more self-aware over here on that one. However, it does feel now the win, the 16 years. It feels like we're on the right side of the track.
We are
here as Ipswich fans.
The balance of power has shifted, hasn't it? Really, and there was a balance of power. You quite rightly said about that Norwich promotion team. They absolutely played us off the park. It was embarrassing that day, and yeah, it has certainly shifted. And as the guys said, some of the guys said there in the chat that they're probably a Sargent injury away. Well, he's not scored for 4 or 5 games from being in a real. Well, I mean, it's like 9 games in, but there's not much there. There really isn't much there. And if you compare the actual depth of squads, I mean, we are light years ahead of them now. Light years ahead.
Joe, this result feels like a confirmation rather than a catalyst or anything. This is the maybe like the tick in the box, maybe of the power has kind of shifted right where we are sat here, right now.
Yeah, because it's easy to say from our point of view that that's 16 years. There's a huge amount of luck that's gone into that, and if you actually look at each game as it goes, it's probably like, I think there's been 14 matches in that period, and probably 8 of them have been draws. And if you said we won 2 of them, they won 2 of them, that 16 years becomes nothing in reality, does it? But I think we all knew and know that the worm has turned. We are now back on top in East Anglia by a long way, and it's now up to us to ensure that we get that second promotion, like they got that second promotion after Paul Lambert did that big sort of that double jump with them, which Kieran McKenna's done with us, and then they came down and they went straight back up. Well, they stayed up for a couple of years, came down, went straight back up. It's now up to us to get that second one, and the tail of that just runs through your squad, because even now when you look at it, it's like, oh, they're just
Joe, just
bog standard championship team.
Joe, just to jump across you there, mate. You talk about the tail that has lasted them 15 years.
Until now, like I say, they've spent 50 million in the last couple of years and this summer they've sold Marcelino Nunes and Borja Sainz for 25 million quid, but they've only been able to sign those players because they've had the parachute payments before. So it's still running into now, and it really, really looks like they've wasted a huge amount of money, because you've got director of football who is Mr. Stats, and so you see what they're putting on the pitch for it, and I just think, there is not a lot out there. There's not a lot of, Ben, you watch a huge amount of championship football, but you need some championship experience. You need some guys who played 200 championship games in there, and they've just decided to go totally against that and just put
it's only McLean and Sargent and Stacey,
Yeah, and that's all they've got, isn't it? And who are being their best players this year? Josh Sargent, who scored in the first 5 games of the season. Jack Stacey, who's doing this. And then the rest of that is just, he's had a good half an hour. I liked what Cernak did for 15 minutes in that game. They've really, like I say, I take no pride in it, but they look in a really, really tough situation to go from where they are. And like Liam Manning's got a big job on his hands there.
Yeah. Rich, last word from you on the rivalry. It's just nice to have it out the way. It was a bit embarrassing, wasn't it, to be asked about it over and over again, and to be having to discuss it over and over again.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things we won't know, maybe you can ask Jack about it if you're invited back on there, about what it feels like for them, because Joe was saying that the 16 years chant in the away end, that's a really small straw to be clutching at, and I think Joe's right in terms of the situation off the field and on the field at Norwich at the moment, and whether Liam Manning gets to finish the job that he started there. You've advocated for him. We all know that he's kind of a slow burn coach, that he's quite methodical and it will take time. I don't feel like he's got that. They're in a weird place where there's definite expectations in the terraces at Norwich, but decision after decision being made by the new owners, and on-field, off-field decisions, recruitment, just it doesn't really fit together. So I'll be really interested to see how they feel about the situation there. And in terms of us, the chat is talking about this in a major way. We've had a really good run at home. We'll talk about, there's a question about Bristol City and what we might have done differently, or hypotheticals around the Bristol City game, but we really need to get our form going away from home now. We've proven we can do it at home. It's a big result today. Obviously we had it's 3 wins on the spin, isn't it, at home now? So what can we do from here? Because there's no one really, apart from Coventry, pulling up any trees elsewhere in the league. It is seemingly there for the taking, but have we got the consistency about us to get the results and to dig in? And when we're not playing well, can we get those points? And especially on the road, where that's been the trouble. So that's the real quiz, and a really big game coming for us at the end of the international breakaway at Borough, isn't it? Where to quote David Brent, that's the real quiz, or is it Finchy? I'm not sure, but that's the real quiz.
Just quickly on that note, though, Rich, when you look at the betting odds for the championship, it is like Ipswich and Coventry here, big drop to Middlesbrough, and then big drop to everyone else, or Southampton and everyone else below that. So us and Coventry are seen as the teams that are just going to well, not walk it from here, but
Leicester odds will rally when there's a decision made from the EFL.
Yeah, but the bookies have to price Leicester as they are with what they expect to happen.
Yeah.
So they're not going to leave them thinking, okay, well, we expect this to happen, and if it does, they're going to catch us out. So yeah, us and Coventry are seen as the best two teams in the league at the moment.
Not that anyone cares, but we will just quickly go through the Championship action from the weekend. We can get back to talking about Ipswich 3, Norwich 1 and answer your questions in just a jiffy. Get your questions in right now. There's loads of them already, but keep them coming. Come one, come all. Rich, am I okay to cover your face with this? We've gone for the...
You're on a favour. Yeah.
You can still hear Richard speaking from behind those Championship results there. Wrexham 1, Birmingham 1, Blackburn 1, Stoke 1. Hull 1, Sheffield United 0, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry 5, Bristol City 1, QPR 2, Derby 1, Saints 1, Millwall 3, West Brom 1, Pompey 1, Borough 0. That's their unbeaten run over. Preston 2, Charlton 0, Swansea 1, Leicester 3, Watford 2, Oxford 1, and the one at the bottom there, Ipswich 3, Norwich 1. Dave, I suppose to Joe's point, Coventry's the story now. They're undefeated. They're smashing in 3 goals per game. They've just done a 9-point week whilst scoring 3 had 4 had 5 is 12 goals to 0. I mean, I'm not saying they're the second coming of Marco Silva's Fulham with Mitrovic and Wilson, who just scored like 6 for 5 games running. But they're playing rather well, and they maybe have, to use a term from today, stuck their flag in the ground to say they're the ones to beat.
I mean, very much so. I mean, probably more impressive was a 4-0 win at Millwall on a Tuesday night. Well, although we did that. Sorry, we did that in the Championship year, of course, but that was, I think, a very we did a very, very different Millwall. I think, who, as you can see, went on to beat West Brom 3-0 at home.
A very different Millwall, managed by Joe Edwards, who is now Frank's assistant at Coventry.
Well, there you go. So yeah, they looked really good. And other teams having a good season. Preston, we said this before. Preston having a really good season, up in the top 5. Good win.
Nice to see a player score and celebrate against their old club. Thierry Small.
No problem with that.
Especially at Deepdale, they've been really, really good, haven't they?
They have. They really have. Yeah. And Leicester, as you would expect now, sort of starting to pick up points, but obviously who knows what's in store for them.
Especially, Dave, during an international break, the EFL communications Twitter does tend to get fired up, Joe, doesn't it, during international breaks?
Well, it sounds like we've got the Premier League communications department to listen to first before the EFL can get their teeth into it. But yeah, I think it's sort of widely known that Coventry are going to have Leicester going to have a points deduction and bring it on.
Anything to add on round 9 before I go to Rich, Joe?
I think Dave's covered every fixture, hasn't he?
No, you just drifted off while he was talking, mate. Rich?
I just wanted to congratulate Blackburn against the odds. Managed to score after they managed to score after the 79th minute. I didn't think it was possible, but Blackburn have actually done it and got a point. So brilliant for them. Really
that's the sort of thing I'd get told off for if I said that.
You would actually, Joe. You would. Yeah, I'll give you that one, Richard. That's very nefarious behaviour. Right, should we do some questions from you lot? I think I'll go to Joe Fairs with this one. Who's our real man of the match today? Kipray or Fairs getting through this pod?
He's not done it yet.
Jaden Philogene.
No, seriously, was Kipray not the man of the match, Joe?
I thought Kipray played really well, but Jaden Philogene, you score that goal in this game and you do everything he did throughout the game, you are the man of the match.
Rich, you'll be across this, won't you, on the preview show? Same starting 11 for Borough away. Let me just set this up. It goes 3-game week, and then there's EFL Cup in the midweek, 3-game week, international break. So it's literally sprint, rest, sprint, and then you're to another.
But we do have our game is on the Friday against Borough, so we have got Friday, Tuesday, Saturday, haven't we? Yeah. Rich, so does he ride this out now for Borough, or is McKenna, like Joe said, back in our genius books now, and it's like, oh, I don't care what 11 he puts out, I trust him now. Do what you like, mate.
Yeah, I think there's still debates over the right wing 10 and maybe even the number 9 slot. George Hurst worked really hard today, but it isn't really working for the moment. And Adon's come on and hit the post twice, and I feel at some point he got a chance at Bristol City, didn't he? But
he's got to hit the other 2 posts.
He's got to get the bit in the middle. I just wonder whether I like Smodic today, by the way. I haven't really talked about Smodic. Didn't really get a huge amount of goal moments.
He was so annoyed, Rich, when that bounced off the post and went straight past him to Jack Clark, wasn't he? You could see when Clark put it in.
He was sniffing around the Kipre goal, but what he did brilliantly was he coached Egley through the game today. He was really selfless in that respect. Really good partnership kind of forming down that right-hand side with Furlong and Egley as well. So to the question, I think maybe I don't see why you'd need to change it, but there's still some question marks there. And yeah, I think maybe Kipre's done himself. He's got the shirt now, isn't he? I think So
David, can I just come to you on George Hurst? Because I know people stand up and defend him and he's been brilliant for us. I did feel in that first 20 minutes when Norwich were getting the press right and the ball was onto him, it wasn't quite sticking with him. So I think some of the feedback was reasonable today, if I've couched that in a polite enough way.
Absolutely right. His touch, again, as it has been in previous games, wasn't great. He was much better when the ball was played down the channel.
Right.
And he could get down the channel and absolutely protect the ball. He did that really well. Incidentally, George Hurst was Mick Mill's shout for man of the match, but we'll go on from there.
There was a decent striker sitting in the executive box, wasn't there, today?
Was there?
Ollie again, was it?
No, Ollie was there, but Liam Delap was there as well.
Oh, hello.
Loan.
Yeah.
January loan.
So no, look, and he again, as in previous games, perhaps he hasn't started games brilliantly, but he grew into the game, and like I said, he's running in the channels was really good. He's pulling Cordoba out and stuff. So yeah, again, someone he needs a goal. He scored 3, won a penalty at Birmingham. I think he scored 3. It wouldn't surprise me if at some point Azon gets a start, but I wouldn't expect it to be away at Borough. I wouldn't expect that.
Fair enough.
No. Joe, where was that one about Hutchison? There you go. Who is better, Philogene or Amari? That's not as ridiculous a question as it sounds, is it?
No, and I think from where if you're going to compare the seasons 23-24 and 25-26, at this stage of the season, Philogene is much better than Amari was. Amari had no football under his belt. He was being gently eased into the team and sort of working through it, probably in the similar to the way that Sindre Valley-Egley is. But Jaden Philogene is an absolute Rolls Royce in the Championship, and he cost us 20 million quid in January, and Kieran McKenna is chasing for 4 windows. And I know there'd been a lot of talk about like, why have we spent this much money on him? I think he's starting to show the fans why we spent that money on him. It's been 5 goals, all at Portman Road, all from outside the box, all unbelievable strikes, and he just looks a cut above anything we're up against at the moment, and too good for the Championship. And that's what, as a parachute team, they're the sort of players you can have in your squad.
That's a great point, Joe, you make about I always remember the virtuoso performance by Hutchinson at Hull, and we had that in what round did he do that against Sheffield United? In round 6, and Hutchinson did it in round 43 or whatever.
45 that was, Ben.
Was it actually?
Yeah, because we had Coventry rearranged game after that, so that was the penultimate weekend of the season.
I don't remember Hutchison getting many starts either. I know he started and scored the winner away at Southampton, didn't he? But I don't remember him really getting many starts at this point of the season in 23-24.
Well, he started the last 12. Well, yes.
But at this
he
stage,
started 19 games that season and started the last 12.
Yeah, David, it's not like McKenna's going to get a hold of Philogene and he's going to improve the same way Hutchison did. He may well just be there. Well, he was for Hull, wasn't he? Yeah. Banging the numbers on, wasn't he?
Quality Championship.
I think even today, today was his 18th appearance for Ipswich. He scored 8 goals, 8 and 18, and a lot of those games in the Premier League where I think a lot of people were really, really disappointed with him. I know we got 2 at Old Trafford that weren't the best goals you've ever seen, but still 8 and 18 is a pretty good record.
And missed the last third of the season injured. What happened? No, was that
he went for Chelsea, didn't he? And then we didn't see him.
Perhaps not third. So it must have been 5 or 6 games, probably. Yeah.
Richard, is it fair to say Azor Matasiwa is an upgrade? Be careful with this one on Sam Morsey. Get all your caveats in first about how much we love Morsey.
Yeah. I different players for different needs, but Matasiwa, it's the cliche now, gets better every week. Got through the game without a booking. I think someone mentioned that earlier in the chat, which is big for Borough. It might have been down in our Telegram group, talking about that, because he's huge. There we go, Sharon. I think he avoided the booking. showed a turn of pace today as well. Like there was a moment where he chased down. I think he had a loose touch in it, and the ball broke. And
Richard, if I may, on the 4 horrible corners, he was doing a lot of. Might have been that, but I seem to remember him doing a lot of chitter chatter, organising as well, which looked great.
Sorry, and he was part of those post-match scenes as well, so he's really bought into it. But there's known to be another Sam Morsey in terms of just the leadership impact. You know, we're starting to see that a little bit more. That Dara O'Shea comes out of today with a lot of credit in that respect. For me, there's some really good stuff pre and post match, and his huddle talk, which the club filmed, possibly deliberately so, rather than we're just going to shove a camera in.
I could only understand every third word of that, Rich.
There was a few peeps.
Every fourth was bleeped. Yeah,
but yeah, I think Dave said earlier it wasn't Kayusta's best day today, but still impactful. But that pair, you know, I was thinking when you guys are talking about Philogene, is there a better player in form in the Championship at the moment? Maybe had you right at Coventry, perhaps.
Ollie McBurney.
Well, maybe. But I would say that's, if you're starting to build a dream 11 for the Championship at the moment, I think Matasiwa and Kayusta are the central midfield pair. I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, everyone's been raving about Hackney and Morris. I think coming up on the shoulders now is as they...
That'll be a good battle in a couple of weeks, won't it?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point, Dave. Joe, will Jack Clark score 20 goals this season, only playing 20 minutes per game? How many has he got so far?
4, isn't it? I think he scored.
There you go.
4 and 8.
Derby, Sheffield United, Bristol City, and today. So 4 goals in 8 games.
I was praising Richard Kono for scoring 4 goals earlier.
I think all four of the goals have been off the bench, haven't they? Because he didn't score any. He started
Bristol City. Did he come off? Did he start?
No, he started Bristol City. Actually, yeah, you're right there. Yeah, so
only one though, Joe. You're right. Finisher. I love him. Yeah. I love Jack Clark so much.
I mean, our left-hand side with Jaden Philogene and Jack Clark coming on to replace him. I think both of those guys, I think someone put it in the chat, are averaging a goal every sort of 94 minutes between them. So it's just like you've just got 2 guaranteed goals, top quality players on that left-hand side.
Dave, Stephen, who would you trust most playing out from the back? Can I throw Kipray into that after today? O'Shea or Greaves? And we heard from Luke Wolfenden at the back end of last week a little bit, didn't we, as well? And they're not reaching. But Dave, we've spoken about Hladky, Morse, and people who tell me to shut up, move on. But it's a comparison that we get asked about, isn't it? Hladky, Morsey, Wolfenden, and Burgess, as opposed to Palmer. Today would have been O'Shea, Kipray, Matasiwa, and they very much stuck a man up Matasiwa as well, didn't they, to stop that ball? But anyway, sorry, Dave, I'm rambling. Answer the question Stephen's asked.
What was the question again? Oh, who
it's down there, mate.
No, I think judging
always the same.
Always the same. O'Shea's distribution for the first 10, 20 minutes was horrific, terrible. I'd say actually as a ball, as a footballer, looking like a player, distribution, I'd say it's probably Greaves is probably better. Lovely, I'd love to see a left foot, but defend. That's not the question though. Playing out from the back, yes, it's Greaves playing out from the back.
Always the same.
Joe, it's so different now compared to that team. Did take everyone by surprise, didn't they? And everybody knows what we're about to do. Everybody's got so many videos, so much data on it. And look how well, for all you've criticised Norwich's maybe squad level, look how well prepped they were to stop it. So everyone else, every other Championship manager will look at that today and say, okay, if we're brave enough to go that high up the pitch at Portman Road against Ipswich, is that a better tactic than letting us have the ball and having 63% possession, Joe?
No one's going to let us play like that this year, are they? No one's going to let us suck them in there and Connor Chapman play a 60-yard ball and go up the pitch. So it's a totally different game. And I know, like for me, I thought Dara O'Shea really struggled playing out from the back at the start, and him and Furlong were sort of getting themselves in a muddle. I thought, well, actually, Darnell Furlong's not been asked to do a huge amount of defending. I'd like to see Ashley Young back there because, if you give the ball to Ashley Young's feet, he actually is his passing is on a different level to Darnell Furlong's, but it didn't matter in the end. But it's a totally different ball game we're playing this year.
Yeah. Right. Last one, guys. Thank you so much. But by the way, the numbers of you watching tonight have been absolutely off the chart. So thank you. We get it. We know why you're here, and we know why you're... Who's that says the American dude on the politics show? We know why you're happy this week. Someone will tell me his name in in the chat. Richard, last one for you. Do we expect Ivan Azon to replace Hurst long term?
Not whilst he's only here on loan. I don't want it to have opened up a bit of a can of worms on George Hurst. I didn't want that to come across as unnecessarily critical, but it didn't have the best of days today, but works really hard for the team. And what we need strikers who are putting the ball in the net as well. We can't rely on Philogene to score worldies every week. And as Joe's mentioned, we're not scoring too many goals as that unit away from home. So whoever, for me, starts banging the goals in away from home is probably the one. Bill Meyer, there you go.
Yeah,
there was a question just to Joe's point very briefly. There was a question about what should McKenna be working on the training ground in the international break. We still need to get that passing out of the back, or the decision making to not pass out from the back right. I know it's a new unit back there and all that kind of stuff.
Is that not just time? Is that not time on the in-game pitch rather than
hopefully so, Ben?
Pitch?
But I think there was Norwich's press was pretty good today, but the crowd also got a little bit aggy about it, quite understandably, and that kind of caused us to go a little bit crazy with it and be a little bit wasteful with the ball. And I think McKenna was kind of praising in post-match how we coped with that. I don't think we coped particularly well, so I think we just need to get that more ingrained. If that's what we're going to do, and we're high risk, aren't we, but high reward, because when it works and you get in behind, it's brilliant. But it wasn't really at its best today, so maybe a little bit more on that. And we're kind of talking about moving players in and out of the team. Just got to get a settled back line to get that kind of stuff working for me. So, but no, it's nice problems to have, having beaten Norwich.
I think we're about settled now, Rich, aren't we? But I guess the settle is keep praying to the Greaves.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we will see what happens in the next.
Back 7 is settled, isn't it?
It's 2-3 game weeks, though. I bet he'll bring Greaves in for a couple of those. At least he'll look at the geography and he'll look at the kind of mapping out of those 3 game weeks. Right, enough of this nonsense. Enough of this tactics and logic and stuff. Football is not about logic. It's about emotion. And let's have a last word from each of you. A brilliant day, a day we'd hoped would have come many, many years ago. We'll start with you, Dave. Just your final thoughts on this rivalry that's, I don't care what anybody else thinks, to fans of both clubs, is a really, really big deal that we carried around for a long, long time.
Yeah, fantastic day. Great to put it to bed. I hope we're sitting here in 2041 celebrating 16 years of undefeated. 16 years being undefeated against Norwich.
Joe?
Yeah, and it's... I went in today thinking, actually, I'm quite chill because I know we're better than them. But actually, the actual win, you really, really needed to actually get that one over the line. Because had we not beaten them today, it would have still been just like, oh my God, how is it not happening? Because that's, as I've said a few times on the pod, that's 16 years. It's not been total domination, has it? It's not like the way we dominated them from sort of like 70 to 85. It's just been and
it's been punctuated by us being crap as well, Joe.
It's just been a rubbish period and some rubbish games and some draws and that. But yeah, great to have that monkey off our back, and now we can just sort of move on to the next one. All those fans have said I'd rather beat Norwich and get promoted. Well, don't worry about it. We can do both.
Last word from you, Richard.
Yeah, enjoy the week. We've got an international break now, and we've gone into it with the best possible of result. A fantastic performance, a worldie of a goal. We've got a giveaway, by the way, on our Twitter account after this with our friends at Mazzella Designs of Jaden Philogene prints. So get involved in that. But enjoy it, everyone. That's why we go to the football. And I warned my team. I've got a Teams call with them first thing, a video call first thing. I said, check the result on Sunday night, because I will be in a foul mood if we lose that game. Now I can bowl into that one, probably wearing my town shirt, which is against my terms and conditions of my employment, but I don't care. I'm going to bring it on and attack the week.
That's better than not wearing a shirt to bowl in there.
True, which is what I would usually do on a Monday.
Oh, well, I think it's quite simple for me. I'll start the way I finished. I'll finish the way I started. You've been watching and listening to Blue Monday and Ipswich Town podcast. It was Ipswich Town 3, Norwich City 1.